The very first thing that we say when we walk into shul every morning, as explained to us by the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch, and as is written in our Siddur, is but the pasuk of Tovu Ohalecha Yaakov Mishkanosecha Yisrael, found in our parsha this week. Tovu, how nice, how splendid, how beautiful. Ohalecha Yaakov, are your tents, Yaakov, referring to the Jewish nation. Mishkanosecha, are your dwellings, Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, the Jewish people. So where does this pasuk come from, and why is it the first pasuk that we say when walking in to shul every morning? So Rashi explains to us that when Bilam Harasha was going to curse the Jewish people, he turns around, he observes the Jewish people, and where does he see? He sees all the tents. And he sees something very, very peculiar about the tents. He said they were lined up in a special way, in that each tent, of course, has its opening, but not one opening of a tent faced the other tent's opening. Meaning that the opening of one tent faced the back of another tent. And there were no two tents that faced each other where the opening was, so that no one could see while sitting in their own tent into someone else's tent. So as Bilam sees this, Hashem places in his mouth to say these words of Matovu, how beautiful, recognizing the tznius, recognizing the modesty that there was in the encampment of the Jewish people back in the times when they were in the Midbar, and how that Kedusha radiated throughout all of the people throughout the entire encampment. So what's the connection with shul? So the She'eres Menachem explains that when we enter shul in the morning, it's not simply only about what we do in shul, the davening that we are part of in shul, the prayer that we recite in shul. He says when we walk into a shul, we bring with us, we instill within the shul a sense of kedusha, a sense of sanctity that has its foundation, that has its basis in the home, in the Jewish home. Because that's where kedusha begins. One cannot have sanctity in shul without bringing it from one's home, which really makes us ask ourselves the question, how much sanctity do we have in our homes? And that when we enter the shul, are we bringing the sanctity from our home into the shul, or do we live our lives in one way and only act a certain way when we are in shul because they don't match? The desire to live a life of purity, to live a life which is imbued with a sense of sanctity, is that only for one area of our lives, or is it for all areas of our lives? Are we able to act a certain way outside of shul in our homes and act differently in shul when we're facing God? Or do we recognize that in our homes we need to establish a sense of purity, a sense of kedusha, a sense of sanctity, and then transfer that sanctity, take some of it, and establish it inside the shul? So the She'eres Menachem says, in essence, we have to build the sense of kedusha at home. And it's very significant always when it comes to the summertime, when there are issues naturally of modesty in the world that we see, and even in our own communities, how we step back and we think to ourselves about the kedusha that we have in our own homes. And modesty on every level. Modesty in the way that we dress, modesty in the way that we speak, modesty in the what it is that we keep private and what we keep quiet, and also modesty in the sense of how we carry ourselves. This is what's important to remember when it comes to striving for a sense of kedusha in our homes. If we feel that our homes are void of kedusha, are void of sanctity, then we need to find a way to establish some semblance. We live in a world which is very challenging when it comes to the concept of tznius, the concept of modesty. And many of us struggle with this element and this important, significant part of what it is to be a Jew. But we need to constantly strive and keep ourselves aware of what's considered to be secular society and how much we allow secular society to make an impact on us. Let us be zoche and make sure that we constantly have the frame of mind thinking about the beauty of our homes, the kedusha of our homes, and take that kedusha, take that sanctity with us to shul and everywhere that we go, and try to continue to grow on levels of tznius, on levels of modesty, so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu continues to bless us in all facets of our lives. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.